great Doobie song.
Love it. It's one of my faves.
Doobie Brothers, really two different groups. Mm-hmm. There's pre-Michael McDonald Doobie Brothers.
Yeah.
And Michael McDonald Doobie Brothers. Both great, but super different.
Like Van Halen. Two very different bands with their lead singer swap.
Do you know anybody? Actually, that would be a perfect first question for Will Brinson. By the way, I figured out the rules to Omega Ball. It is fascinating, dumb, and all of that. Are you a David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar Van Halen guy?
I thought you were going to ask me my thoughts on Michael McDonald.
No.
But yeah, no.
You can answer that too.
I mean, I guess I'm a big Sammy Hagar fan. So
really?
Yeah, but I like David Lee Roth. I like all of Van Halen, quite honestly. Okay. Like I listened to a lot of Van Halen in high school.
I didn't like Van Hagar. I liked Van Halen. Didn't like Van Hagar.
Yeah. I'm more. Yeah. I mean, I would be more of Van Halen, but I mean, like I can dabble in both.
Okay. What about Michael McDonald and Doobie Brothers?
Wow, yeah. I mean, anything Michael McDonald. I mean, I've got 2 ears and a heart, don't I? I mean, like anything Michael McDonald does.
That is true. It really wasn't the Doobie Brothers with Michael McDonald. It was Michael McDonald borrowing the Doobie Brothers as a backup band.
Right, exactly.
All right, I'm going to start with the Panthers, and then we'll go to what's going on in Washington with Terry McLaurin. So the Panthers, who 2 years ago had arguably, and I don't even think it was arguable, the worst collection of wide receivers in the NFL.
Yeah.
The only challenger to that might have been New England, right? I mean, because the Patriots were a disaster at wide receiver.
And even then, I mean, like you're just talking about like Adam Thielen, and the offense was basically try to run the ball twice. It doesn't work because everyone knows you're running the ball and your offensive line isn't very good yet.
Right.
And then it's third and medium to third and long, and you have to Adam Thielen has to get open with double coverage underneath and catch an out route while Bryce Young is being popped in the face. I mean, yeah, it was an all-time bad offense.
Yeah, it was terrible. So now the Panthers, it might be their best position. You know, Tepper and McMillan has come in for the Panthers. I'm not ranking it among the best units in the sport. But Tepper and McMillan has come in and I think has really established himself as the one. You've got Xavier Legette. You've got Jalen Coker, who really came on at the end of last year. Adam Thielen. Hunter Renfrow, the reports coming out of training camp are that Hunter Renfrow looks like vintage Hunter Renfrow. On top of that, you've got David Moore, who was obviously a good veteran receiver. Jimmy Horn, the rookie who they drafted. They're not inclined to release drafted players, certainly not right away. So Mike Kay floated the idea that the Panthers could trade Adam Thielen. What say you to that?
Yeah, I mean, it would work. You're probably not going to get a ton for Adam Thielen just at his age and, given the specificity of his skill set, right? But there's definitely going to be teams out there that would be interested in him. If it's me, and I mean, I'm sure Mike Kay, who's very good at his job, if he's floating that, is more than likely, maybe hearing something like. In other words, if you're the Panthers and T-Mac is looking good, Legette is all of a sudden a high-end number two. If both those guys develop, and then you have an underneath guy like a Adam Thielen or a Hunter Renfrow, who is basically a balder Adam Thielen, balder younger Adam Thielen. All due respect to my cousin Hunter Renfrow. But no, I mean, if that's the sort of setup that you want, I think, in terms of your wide receiver core, right? You want to have these two sort of bigger body guys on the outside, contested catch guys, get down the field guys. And when you have those guys, then all of a sudden the underneath stuff for a Thielen or a Renfrow works very well. If you can get what you were getting from Adam Thielen, like a poor man's Adam Thielen out of Hunter Renfrow, you can do it for cheaper and you get some assets in return. Yeah, I have no problem with that whatsoever. I mean,
I do.
My thought process.
I would not trade Adam Thielen.
No, I wouldn't either, but I'm saying I'm just walking down the path of you asked me is this a good idea? Now, I guess I could have said, no, it's not a good idea. I would prefer, if I'm the Panthers, and I think that this is a season where, not that we're going to go win the Super Bowl, but although, every time the Panthers and Jaguars play in week 1 and Ohio State wins the title, the Panthers go to the Super Bowl.
That's right.
If I can't remember, I don't know who came up with that. If I'm the Panthers, and I think I'd be, competitive in the NFC South that hasn't seen a team pull away in the last few years, then I'm definitely keeping Adam Thielen because, again, you've got Hunter Renfrow back there in the event that Thielen ages rapidly or gets hurt or, you don't want to play him 100% of the snaps because of his age. So you've just got some more flexibility there. And there's also the possibility that T-Mac doesn't come in and look like an all-pro off the bat.
Right.
Now, I think his upside is insane, but I think there's a floor there too that's probably a little bit lower than maybe some other rookie wide receivers. And then Legette flashed at times last year, but you don't know that these two guys are going to be alphas out of the gate. So I'm holding on to Thielen because when you talk about a quarterback in Bryce Young who struggled so early, so much, like in the beginning of his career, why not give him the veteran safety blanket like Adam Thielen? It just makes too much sense.
For me, and bless David Moore's heart, he would be a player that I would release. I mean, David Moore's a good player. David Moore can help other teams, but it's very possible. I think it was Mike in the clip we used for Michael Kay. He said that David Moore only wants to play for a team coached by Dave Canales. Maybe David Moore just is released and just sits at home and trains and stays ready, and then when the inevitable injuries happen, then he comes back to the team. So maybe something like that happens, and you can keep six.
I might broaden my horizons if I'm David Moore.
Maybe
willingness to play for other coaches.
You just don't know, man. Maybe he has been disarmed by Canales. His luxurious, handsome looks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, nobody. You can say whatever you want about Dave Canales' coaching, and I think he did a good job last year.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who dares to say that Dave Canales isn't handsome,
right?
I mean, I will personally impugn your honor, sir.
Who's the most handsome coach in the NFL? Real quick, is it Canales? Might be Sean McVay. I think Sean McVay is very handsome.
Yeah, Sean McVay. I mean, are we doing like most handsome or hottest coach? Because it's probably Sean McVay. Sean McVay is a very good looking. Dave Canales might be more handsome than Sean McVay.
Yeah.
I think Sean McVay might be hotter.
Dave Canales.
I thought I'd be talking about on this Friday.
It's Friday. Well, Dave Canales could do a fragrance commercial.
Yes, he absolutely could.
All right, so because he would be the answer to the hottest coach. Terry McLaurin in Washington. I think the Commanders are in a little bit of a spot here. He's 30, I think before they play week 2. He turns 30. And there are very few examples of 30-plus-year-old receivers that post big numbers, right? At what's the guys in Tampa? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name. Mike Evans. Mike Evans is one. A.J. Brown is another. I mean, these guys are great even into their 30s. Maybe Terry McLaurin will be that, although I don't think McLaurin is as good as those guys anyway right now. But he's entering the final year of his contract, and Washington doesn't really have anybody else that they can elevate in his place. Don't they have to figure out the least damaging bad contract here?
Yeah, it's particularly problematic because you have a guy who's 30, and so when you're that age, not only are you susceptible to maybe dropping off a bit, and I think Terry McLaurin, I think if you ask the average fan, they might not guess that he's 30, right? Like, because he plays a little bit younger, but came out of college, like a little bit older than some other prospects. But when you go and look at the average salary for wide receivers, you have Terry McLaurin, who's he's at $23 million a year. There's only one guy above him, all the way up to Jamar Chase, who's at $40 million a year. That is over 30, and that's Tyreek Hill, who's at 30 even. He's 31 years old. Sorry, he's at $30 million even. And Tyreek Hill's had this like insanely productive career, got traded, demanded a new contract, and has been in the MVP discussion multiple times throughout his career. So it's just a tricky spot because Terry McLaurin wants to get paid one more time before he hits that age where you're just not going to get paid. The Commanders don't want to overcommit to a guy into his mid-30s, which is what the smart thing to do. But like, where do you slot the contract? Because if you give him more than $30 million a year, like you're in the Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brandon Ayuk, AJ Brown range, which feels like I would probably slot like McLaurin right there with Brandon Ayuk. Like that makes sense, but Ayuk is 3 years younger, and had a lot more leverage a year previous. So it's just a really tough spot. I mean, and then you go above that, and you have Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. For whether it's immediately eligible in Wilson, traded Metcalf, and then Lamb, Jefferson, and Chase, the three best wide receivers in football, or AJ Brown, who's a man child and still just 28. Like, I mean, it's just really tough to find a slot. Like, he's going to have to be willing to probably do some kind of deal that's around $30 million a year, which is, I think, plenty. Yeah. Maybe a little bit less. He might need to take a T. Higgins contract, which is 28.75, or a Jalen Waddle contract, right? Even though you're a number one on the team, even though you're the best wide receiver on your roster, you're going to have to kind of take wide receiver 2 money. And Devonta Smith, like the DJ Moore range, right? Like something in that range where you're getting a $5 million a year pay bump, but you're also probably not going to see the massive guarantees that you see in a lot of other contracts, because Washington's not going to commit past whatever. And then they also have the problem, Deebo Samuel's right above him too at 23.8. Like that's not even your floor. I think 25 is probably your floor. Right. And if you're Terry McLaurin, you want more than that. So it's just a tricky situation because of his standing on the team, his age, and then the rest of the wide receiver like pay guy. Like obviously you're not going to give him $40 million a year. I mean, everybody wants to believe they're the best wide receiver in football, but you just can't do that given his age and just everything else involved in the situation.
Two things that jump out to me. One, A.J. Brown is 28?
Like you feel like he should be older? Or?
Yeah. Like I feel like A.J. Brown's been around for like 10 years. Obviously he hasn't because he didn't come into the league when he was 18. And by the way, the other receiver who's over 30 but can still theoretically is still one of the best in the league is Devontae Adams, who is now with the Rams. And that was the other receiver that has had like 1,000-yard year over the age of 30. It is
right below Terry and Scary Terry in terms of average salary. You've got Calvin Ridley, 23, who's 31, makes $23 million a year. Devontae Adams, 33, 22. Steph Diggs just got paid by the Patriots, 32 years old, $22 million. So like that's the problem is when you're starting to talk about this sort of peer group. Terry McLaurin is probably fairly paid, but given the importance of him for this offense on a team that went to the NFC Championship game last year, believes they can make another run this year, has a quarterback in Jaden Daniels in his second season who they want to keep weapons around for, there's a really fine needle to thread here in terms of getting the player and the team the contract they want, while also making sure you don't botch this season.
See, and to me, you mentioned Jalen Daniels. Much like if I were the Panthers, I would not trade Adam Thielen because of my quarterback. At least I think you have to get into the season and see how the wide receivers are playing before you would dream of moving Thielen on, which they might do. But I think for the same reason, Washington has to make sure that Terry McLaurin is happy because their offense will not be as good without him. I think their offense will suffer without Terry McLaurin. Will Brinson, before we let you go, will Micah Parsons or Trey Hendrickson sign a contract extension first? Well, not will. The answer to that, of course, is yes.
Will,
one of them will. Who will sign their contract first?
I mean, I'll take Micah Parsons just because I think it's, we've talked about this plenty, but, Jerry Jones is going to get it done. It's just a matter of how long is he going to string this out? And, he's going to want to do it in a big showy thing at training camp. Like, if you look at the Dak deal, if you look at the CeeDee Lamb deal, you run it up until the end of the last possible second. And then, this isn't like 2011, right? Or 2010, whatever, where Vincent Jackson and Logan Mankins were franchise tagged and like, we're just going to, like, dudes, you're not sitting out games. Like,
right.
You're not going to miss a ton of games because you won't accrue a season. You're going to get fined. It'll end up backfiring on you. And so I think it's just given the way that the Bengals have approached things and their frugality, I think it's more likely you see Cincinnati sort of play chicken and less likely that Jerry Jones, just doesn't pay like this elite level pass rusher that he drafted in the first round, got a steal on him. Jerry just pays these guys. He just takes forever to do it. So I'll take the surefire thing with Micah Parsons here.
Yeah, Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons agree to a contract larger than it needed to be, but they will agree to that contract like on the eve of the start of the regular season. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. My friend, I will talk to you very soon. Thank you so much. Happy Friday.
All right, buddy. Happy Friday. See you, man.
You got it.